Here's my car. It's an '84 Camaro Berlinetta. It did not run when I got it. It had the 305 that was locked up, and I'm doing an LS swap in it. I have a 4.8 from a 2003 Silverado. I'm going to reuse the 700R4 that came in the car for now, and I'll be reusing the rear end. It's a Borg Warner 9-bolt. I've got most of the front end suspension rebuilt, so it's going to be ready for the engine to go in as soon as I get things cleaned up and painted to my satisfaction. And then from there I've got the fuel lines to run and the gas tank, and I've got all the wiring to do. And this is my first LS swap, so I'm learning as I go. So here's my engine bay here. It had the 305, that's gone now, and it had the 700R4, which I am going to be reusing for this build for now. I'm just going to put it back in there and see what happens. In the future I'm planning on going with the T56, but that's just not a priority right now. I just want to get it together and get it running. So you can see that I've got the aftermarket K-member, and that's the Spawn K-member. I've heard of some people having some fitment issues, so I will have to see once I get it together if that's the case, but hopefully not. I do have the electric fan and radiator from a 4th gen, and so that's what I'll be running. I'm also going to be running all new fuel lines and brake lines. You can see those are still in there now. And I have a 4th gen master cylinder and brake booster that'll be going in as well, and I'll have to figure out something for the proportioning valve, which I haven't looked into a whole lot yet. So that's on the to-do list. So here's the 4.8 that I'll be using for this build. It has around 190,000 miles, what I was told anyway. So I will be freshening that up a little bit. I have a new cam. That's the Summit Pro LS series something, but I'll get those specs. It's I think it's their truck stage 1 cam. It's a pretty mild cam. I do have the LS6 springs that I'll need to use with it, and I have a set of stock rebuilt heads that will be going back on here. I'll also be replacing the timing chain and gears and oil pump, and I have a new oil pan that is from the 4th gen, because this has the truck pan on it, which, although it will go in my car like that, it'll scrape. So I'm not doing that. I guess that's about it. I do have new starter, alternator, water pump. I've got the LS6 intake that I'll be using. So here's the head I have. This is just a rebuilt set of the factory 862 heads that came on the 4.8 that I have. But these springs will be coming off and changed out with the LS6 springs that I have, the blue ones, for the cam that's going in. So these are the factory calipers that I've rebuilt, replaced the hardware. replace the seals, clean the pistons and everything inside and out. And there's new hardware and paint on there, so those should work well and be fine for what I want to do. Eventually I'd like to do the LS1 brake swap, but I'll also need to get new wheels at that time. But anyway, this wasn't too hard to do and it's pretty cheap, so I decided to just go with that right now instead of trying to do a whole brake swap at the same time that I'm doing my first ever LS swap. And these are the wheels that came on the car. They're American Racing wheels. I think they're 14 by 7. So they're pretty small, but they'll work with the factory stuff. I do need new tires. These are about 11 years old, and they've got some cracking on them. Maybe good enough to just drive to the tire shop and get new ones. But I'll use these wheels while I can. But once I do the brake upgrade at some point in the future, I'll need a larger wheel than that for the larger 4th gen rotors. But they're okay for now. So that's basically where I'm at with this project. It's not a very exciting video, but I just wanted to get a good overview and caught up on everything that I haven't documented up to this point. So I think this is going to motivate me to keep at it a little more. And then if you're interested in watching the build, then you can go ahead and subscribe and get those updates. And I'll get those out as I work on the car. So next I'm going to be pulling out the fuel tank and getting the rest of those lines out from underneath, and then I'm going to be cleaning up the underside, getting that loose rust off and getting it covered up. So I'm going to show some of that and get some progress here in the near future.